Jonathan asks what would happen if he swims in a typical pool filled with spent nuclear fuel. Do I need to dive to receive a fatal dose of radiation? How long could I stay on the surface? Brief answer. If you swim well enough, you can stay in the water for 10 to 40 hours. But after that, you will lose consciousness from exhaustion and drown. This is also true for the pool, where there is no nuclear fuel at the bottom. And this is not quite what interested Jonathan. Spent nuclear fuel from reactors is indeed highly radioactive and emits heat. Water effectively shields against radiation and cools fuel, stored at the bottom of pools for decades until safe for transport. We still have not reached an agreement on where to store spent nuclear fuel, and ultimately this needs to be resolved. But Jonathan asks about swimming in the pool. This is what a typical fuel storage pool looks like. The warmth from the fuel won't be a big problem. The water temperature in such a pool can theoretically reach 50 degrees Celsius, but in practice usually ranges from 25 to 35 degrees. It is warmer than in most pools, but cooler than in a jacuzzi. However, Jonathan is interested in the effects of radiation. As for the radiation from spent nuclear fuel, every 7 centimeters of water reduces the level of radiation by half. This means that at a distance of 2 meters from the fuel, the radiation is 1/billionth of what it is right next to it, and another 2 meters further away, it is again 1/billionth. The most radioactive are the fuel rods that have recently been extracted from the reactor. Based on the data provided by Ontario Hydro, we can identify danger and safety zones for fresh fuel rods. If you dive to the bottom, touch the fresh fuel container with your elbow, and immediately surface. It may be enough for a fatal outcome. However, outside the safe dose, you can swim as much as you want, as the radiation dose from the rods will be less than the normal background radiation you receive from cosmic rays and other sources while walking. In fact, while you are underwater, you will be protected from most of this background, so theoretically, you can receive a smaller dose of radiation swimming in a pool of spent fuel than walking on the street. If there is corrosion in the casings of spent fuel rods, some fission products may end up in the water. However, facilities dealing with spent fuel usually manage to clean the water well, although it is radioactive enough that it cannot be sold as bottled water. This would be a wonderful energy drink. We know that swimming in such pools can be relatively safe, as they are regularly maintained by divers. Nevertheless, these divers must be careful. On August 31st, 2011, a diver servicing the spent fuel pool at the Lyot nuclear reactor in Switzerland noticed an unrecorded piece of tubing at the bottom of the pool and asked his supervisor what to do. He was told to place it in his tool basket, which he did. Due to the noise of bubbles in the water, he did not hear the radiation alarm. When the basket was raised to the surface, alarm signals went off in the room. The basket was lowered again, and the diver left the pool. The diver's dosimeter badges indicated that he received a higher than usual total dose of radiation, and the dose on his right hand was extremely high. It turned out that this object was a piece of a protective tube from a radiation monitor in the reactor, which became highly radioactive due to the neutron flux. The tube was dismantled in 2006, but one piece accidentally broke off and sank to the bottom of the pool, where it remained unnoticed for 4 years. The tube was so radioactive that if the diver had placed it in a tool belt or bag pressed against his body, he could have died. However, the water protected him, and only his hand, which is more resistant to radiation than internal organs, received a high dose. As for swimming safety, it can generally be said that you will probably be fine if you don't dive to the bottom, don't pick up anything strange, and don't drink too much water. But for reassurance, I contacted a friend who works at a research reactor and asked him what he would think if you tried to swim in their radiation protection pool.